We finally got some mention of Knights of the Old Republic after so long of being left in the dark about its status and if it's still being actively developed by the new developers over at Saber Interactive. If you guys are anything like me, you've been scouring and scavenging for any news on the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Every time I see mention of a new Star Wars movie, show, project, you name it, at this point I just question why we aren't getting a canonical iteration of the series. Back in the day when I first saw and played the game at a young age, I fell in love with its amazing storytelling, character building, choices to be good and evil, and of course, the different perspective that it's still unique to this day when it comes to fleshing out the dark side and morality in the Star Wars universe. Today we're going to flesh out the game's tumultuous history really quickly since its announcement, new details that have emerged recently, along with some personal opinions on all of it and more. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The KOTOR remake was announced 2021 during a PlayStation showcase with the famous teaser of Revan igniting his lightsaber. Throughout that teaser, I was jumping for joy, as one of my favorite IPs not only in terms of Star Wars, but my favorite story so far within its series was finally about to get a remake to make it more visually appealing, and maybe even garner some new fans among those who never experienced the original. Sadly, after the reveal, it was a slippery slope afterward. For months, seemingly we got no new news or updates on anything about the game. And for some reason, the developers seemingly would dodge questions whenever they were asked about the remake. Back then, Aspyr were the people tasked with bringing this remake to light, and eventually after a couple more months, rumors came forth that Sony wasn't happy with what they were seeing, and rumors were then circulating of the game actually being scrapped so that they could move on to different things. If you guys are familiar with the recent history of Star Wars and Star Wars games, a lot of projects have gone under behind the scenes, leading from old KOTOR projects that were supposed to be in the works from Game of Thrones creators Benioff and Weiss, to projects like the Bounty Hunter Star Wars games that just never saw the light of day. All of this pretty much led to everyone who was looking forward to the Star Wars remake fearing the worst. Later on, it was leaked that because of the bumps in the road that Aspyr was having on actually getting the game's development off the ground, even after completing full-on levels, having voice work done for characters in the game, and even trying to verbally sequence alien languages to keep it consistent throughout, it was rumored, then later on fully confirmed, to have moved on from Aspyr's hands over to Saber Interactive's to take on and finish the development for the game. Then eventually conflicting rumors came out, saying the game was put on indefinite hiatus or put on ice, while others were saying it was getting active development behind the scenes. And that's pretty much all we had on the matter until now, basically being kept in limbo on whether or not the game was still in active development or not. But recently, Saber Interactive inadvertently answered our questions and my prayers, because during their most recent investment announcement, Saber Interactive acquired two big investments to pay off their debts to Embracer Group, which they owed for buying themselves out, and to put to their development costs for their current games getting updates like Space Marine 2, and help with developmental costs to upcoming titles like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which was even listed first among all other releases, even though some are just right around the corner in the coming month. The actual quote from the filing reads as follows: "Headquartered in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Saber Interactive is one of the world's leading independent game developers for all major platforms based on the original and licensed IPs, including successful titles such as Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, just released on September 9th, 2024, shameless plug, we have a bunch of content dedicated to that game here on the channel. If you're interested, it'll be linked down below. World War Z, SnowRunner Expeditions, a Mudrunner game, John's gonna love this one, Insurgency Sandstorm, and an exciting slate of upcoming titles including Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Jurassic Park Survival, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, Roadcraft, Tempest Rising, and many others." Not only that, but if you take a look again at the games listed, something is off. KOTOR has been synonymous up to this point as being called Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Remake, and even has it displayed in the logo shown in the teaser. But this just has it listed as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, even though other titles shown on the list of upcoming games for Saber Interactive have their full titles listed for their respective games. Now, we have seen remakes of the past go both ways when it comes to how they're titled. We've seen titles like Final Fantasy VII Remake actually have remake in their title, while other titles like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4 are remakes of the original without deviating too much from the original formula. Based off of these examples, this could actually be a very good sign for fans who just want a straight up remake of the KOTOR story, but with updated visuals, maybe a bit more side content and character building, and updated gameplay mechanics. That is, of course, if the naming trend examples listed here is anything to go off of. But it still is completely possible that because this is a new possibly canonical version of KOTOR, that some story elements, maybe even major ones, could be changed when it comes to fitting whatever Disney wants it to be for KOTOR in their canonical Star Wars universe. By this I mean if Disney is working on something in the background for KOTOR and they want a game to come out around the same time as that project, they may change some story beats in the game to align for their version and vision of Knights of the Old Republic. For anyone out of the loop, let me just update you real quickly. KOTOR is technically part of the expanded universe and is not canonical. Recently, through an art book, Darth Revan was made canonical, teasing that KOTOR will be in the works and KOTOR itself and its stories will eventually be canonical in a way in the Disney version of Star Wars, but as of right now, we don't know what Disney's KOTOR is actually going to look like. Really, it's just hard to know what direction they're going with in this game until we get some more concrete info and essentially a new reveal trailer for the direction that Saber Interactive is going to be taking this game. I, for one, am really hoping for just essentially a remaster with maybe some more side content and enhanced gameplay mechanics, but I'm not completely opposed to a remake either, as long as they keep the core of the story the same. The original story of the game and its characters truly is what made this game into the classic that it is today, back in the day when BioWare seemingly fired on all cylinders and could just never miss when it came to game development. And changing the story or its defining characters too much in order to take it into a different direction more than likely wouldn't go over too well with fans who have been waiting essentially years to get any mention of a Knights of the Old Republic project in modern times. When it comes to the time frame when I think we'll hear about this game or see anything like a trailer on the big stage again, I think it all comes back to if they actually ended up building upon Aspire's work on the game before they were moved on from development, or if they completely started it from the ground up. If it's from the ground up, I think best case scenario is we hear about the game in about summer of 2026. But if it's taking Aspire's work and building upon it, I think we could see a new reveal trailer as early as summer of 2025, more than likely during Summer Game Fest. In terms of when I think the game would come out, using these same two scenarios, I personally could see a late 2026 release if they used Aspire's progress, and a mid-2028 release if they didn't. Again, these are just guesses, and we have no idea how far Aspire's progress actually was. But overall, I'm just happy we still have a chance of getting a classic like KOTOR actually being remade at all. Overall, Saber Interactive seems pretty capable of not only working with known properties, but also making a good and fan-loved product like they did and are currently still doing with an example like the recently released Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. And I believe if they take their time and flush out the gameplay, this truly could be the remake that fans have been hoping for years now, and could bring a lot of new attention to the KOTOR timeframe of Star Wars, possibly leading to even something like a third entry to the series finally coming sometime in the future. When it comes to if it will be a remake or a remaster, let me know which one you guys would like to see in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed or found it entertaining, make sure to scroll down and make that like button glow so we can reach our like goal of 20 likes for this video. While you're down there, consider subscribing as we'll be covering Knights of the Old Republic updates as they come out, other AAA games throughout the year, hilarious content through multiplayer, and more. As always, your support through your viewership, liking, and subscribing is always greatly appreciated and helps me out tremendously against the galactic threat that is the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!